Firstly, welcome to the National Federation Party headquarters here in Kamal. And I would like to thank you all on behalf of the party and its youth committee members for coming out here today. Your presence here today shows that the youth of today are fearless, we have the courage, and we are going to stand up for what we believe is right for us and the country. Okay? And let me introduce you firstly. My name is Krishna. I am NFPU Vice President. Over here we have NFP, the party's General Secretary, Kamal Iyer, followed by the leader again who needs no introduction, party leader Princess Road Suva, followed by a youth activist who has fought for all of us, who has been fighting for the past 10 years for the rights of every youth. A very prominent yet a very humble person. Youth activist Iyer, who is also a running candidate for the September elections and is NFPU president. And followed is our outgoing NFPU president, Ravi Singh, who is a solicitor by profession. Alright, before we begin with the official program for today, I would like to invite NFPU's party secretary, Nehala, to lead us with the NFP prayer. May we all rise.
Almighty God, we your children who are assembled here embracing as we do all the major religious faiths of this world, pray that we be granted the strength to work for the unity and welfare of all the people of this land, irrespective of race or color or creed, and grant us the wisdom to think and consider all matters that come before us without fear, prejudice or ill will towards anyone, so that we may all join hands to promote the honor and glory here in our land and in the world as alike. Thank you.
I would also like to acknowledge the members of the media present here today. Thank you for taking out some time from your busy schedule. And before I give it to our President Iyer to deliver his opening address, let me once an anonymous said, and I quote, "Youth today are leaders tomorrow," unquote. But today I stand here and I proudly say that I disagree with that quote. Because youth today are not leaders for tomorrow. We are the leaders of today. We have the right to be making decisions in all sectors. And I'm really glad that NFP as a party, as a political party, has given us that platform. They ensure that our voices are not going unheard. And as I use myself on a personal note, thank you NFP for everything you've done for the youth, supporting us so much. And now I'd like to invite Iyer to deliver his opening address to you all.
Good luck everyone, and good morning to all of you. When Gani asked me to delivering a speech today, he said 20 minutes speech. I said by 10 minutes I'll be bored myself. I'm not a big speech writer or speaker. I'm at home if I'm in the community conducting training. That's my bread and butter. But here today, thank everyone for taking time to come up to our humble NFP home, and for those of you with the busy schedule as well, and for the committee as well for taking up time to do this as well. I look back at things that happened over the years. I was only in class 3 when Rambuka led a group of soldiers. The then coalition government led by Dr. Babanda. And I still recall coming back home, one of my uncles came home, bloody shirts and everything, and stories about beating people up on the street and looting. And for them, they call it a progressive thing for us to witness. In May 19, 2000, I had some friends that we stayed together from North Story. They came in the island bus, got up in Suva, heard about things that is happening. They beat the driver, they took the money box. They went out and they said they did it. Few months after that, right, I live in Kamal, right next to my home. I watch soldiers as they pick up guns and just shoot into the crowd that were in Kamal. Now, things that have happened over the years, and in 2006 came a government that promises a better PG for all. And with the PG decree and a constitution later, we are here in 2014. So I found myself staring directly at the election, and it's going to be a very defining moment, especially for our young people and the youth movement here in our beloved country. To the party leader, which is the General Secretary, my peers and those of you that are here, key people that are invited to be here today. It's indeed an honor to be standing here and be able to address you. Having involved myself in the youth movement in Fiji for the last 10 years, I've always advocated for positive change, the social issues and empowerment of youth in the country. And I always believe that there is a workable solution that will help us transition successfully into the Fiji that we all want, the Fiji that we all dream of. You know, at the same time, as I put forward in action all the agenda that we always feel strongly about, I look to the past, I learn and try to respect the things that have been done in the past, those that have gone by. Because I always thought that in order for us to move forward, we need to acknowledge the work that has been done by our forefathers. Because I always thought that I'm a product of what my parents believed in, their values, and the things that they believe in. I believe that we are here because of the prayer of those that actually believe in us, that help us in the transition to where we are and what we are today. If anyone would have told me 15 years ago that I would be staying here, I probably would have definitely met and doing something that will never happen. Because 15 years ago, I was back in Toro Island Fund. And as I said, this is something that is very lonely to be standing up, let alone thinking of contesting the election. But, you know, I'm here now. I was approached by a few parties last year asking me to join them. Like every other young person, I look carefully in the history of the party. I had to look at the party history, the things that they stand for, their policies and things that they stand for in the last few years. And most of all, I also look at the characters of those that are there as well. As I led the National Youth Council of Fiji for the last 3 years, one of the things that I told them, I will never ask you to do anything that I will do. And for them, you know, respect is always something that is earned, not bought. It's not something that you can do. And in the last, in looking at all the parties and making my decisions, I thought that, and I was very thankful when the General Secretary called me up. And I echo the sentiments when I spoke to the media last week and said, this is where I'm supposed to be. There is the history of NFP and things that they stood for over the years. And they remain firm in the things that they believe in. And I believe that everyone that sits in this, under this house, those that are going to be contesting the election, have their heart at the right place in terms of actioning the things that we actually want to do. Last year I watched a few of my friends that put a lot of hard work into the Constitution and the things that we wanted. In my province in Romania, we had 900 submissions. 900 submissions that we did. And when we heard that that is going to be changed, a few of us were frustrated. We went and stood in front of the President's house and got taken into for the police. A few months after that, we heard the budget is coming. And we learned from the previous encounter that we're not supposed to be voting against that time. So okay, let's try something new. So we put on t-shirts that says such guarantee in the budget. We were surrounded by the K9 units and stepped into the budget and got taken in again. I've done training with the police since 2005. And when one of them said, why did you do this? I said, I'm saying things that you couldn't do. The thing you're supposed to do. Every organization that work with, no matter how small it is, transparency is one of the things to do. And in the last 2 years, I haven't seen it. Before I walked in, I was asked by the member of the media from 1996, why are you doing this? Why NFP? And essentially, why a young person like you wanted to do this? Because they know that they were done of this. I said, circumstances. So, this is going to be an extraordinary election. Something that I've never seen happen in any other place all over the world. And sometimes we call for ordinary citizens like us to stand up and be counted, to voice our opinion, and action those together, putting it into the manifesto, and also putting it into the parliament so that it can be action, so that for the betterment of the youth in the country. As I said, I've always do a lot of training with young people. I'm a huge believer in participation, and I'm a huge believer in young people taking responsibility for themselves to take way forward. They asked me, how many seats do young people want in parliament? I said, we take every seat if we need to, but it's something that we need to earn, something that we need to work. If we put all our voices together, speak as one, and put somebody in, then that is something that we earn out. I've learned in the last 2 years, as I said, that these things are earned and not lost, the respect that we need. And young people need to stand up and be counted and be heard in this next election, because I don't think there's going to be any other election like this before. I was told, why don't you contest the next election? I said, no. This is a turning point. Our 18-year-old will be voting. 8 years of young people, those are probably 27, 28, or those below that haven't voted before. This is a defining moment for young people in this movement in the government. And it's definitely up to us, those that are here, to be able to do that as well. If I'm, hands up if we have voted before. You can put a hand up if we have voted before. So we definitely have those categories that are here as well. Coming in here today, and when we were discussing the things that we wanted to do in the last 3 days, one of the things that we thought the manifesto is going to be coming out soon. We were going to have a conference in July, but we wanted to have something now that we can influence the things that will come out, those manifestos. And I've felt that this is something that needs to be done, and with the support of the NFP and its members, it is eventually happening right now, and it's definitely going to be happening in the West as well, with the few of our brothers and sisters in the North as well. For today, I hope that all of you will be able to put those thoughts into words and put it into papers so that we can help submit that to our leaders and those that are there so that they can be taken up. When this manifesto will come, we'll be pushing for those things to be reflected in that as well. I've spent 7 years as a committee member of the Hibiscus Festival, and I often encourage young individuals to use the stage, stand up and be counted. Because I always say, stage is somewhere you can always discover yourself. Put yourself in those spots where you discover yourself and also speak on the issue that actually surrounds you. And they've done all of those things in the last 2 years. NFP have opened the stage for us. They've given us an opportunity to be able to effectively contribute to the manifesto. They allow us to dream about the future and how we want to be governed, the government that we want to put in. And the manifesto will reflect these things. And as I said in the morning, it is going to be something that is different from any other election that is going to happen. Somebody once told me before that this is this is not when they asked me to join one of the other parties, he said, if you want to win, you join this party. I said, it's not about winning, it's about standing up for what's right. If winning comes at the end, then I will definitely take it. You know? Now, if they are going to plan for the future, if today is a day that we plan for the future, then it's only right that they include those that are going to be there, and there are those that are sitting here. So please, before we finish up today, hopefully we have some concrete things that are there on the wall, and as the ACS always said in their banner, leave the world better than you found it. Hopefully we can start paying for that. On just yesterday, talk about the right starting about 30 years from now. I still can't wrap my head around that. But it's definitely time for us to do that, because I always say that young people's issues are always progress. Young people's issues doesn't only respond to the things that is happening now, but also looking into the future and things that could happen as well. Again, for those of you that are here today, welcome to this mini conference. There are a lot more things that is going to be coming up as well. The Facebook is going to be linked with things, highlighting things that are happening. The outcome of things that will be coming up is definitely important to you on that as well. And I look forward to working with you for the next few hours in putting those issues, those concerns into the tables so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Iyer, for those inspiring words and for encouraging and motivating us as youth. Before I give it to our party leader, Mr. Prasad, I received a call from my granddad last night at 11 p.m. And this is what he said. The strength of this election, the 2014 election, it depends on the youth of this country. We are the ones who are going to decide who will be sitting in our next government, who is forming our next government. And he said, encourage as many youth as possible to support what is right. It's not just about voting, guys. It is about voting smart and voting right. So with this, I invite our party leader, Mr. Prasad.
Thank you, Rani, for welcoming all of us here this morning. Our youth president, Mr. Iyer has given a very inspiring little talk about the importance of youth participation in politics and why he himself has joined the NMC as a candidate. I'm actually excited, together with our Madam President, the prospect of someone like Iyer being our candidate in this election. I'm also excited by our Madam President. She is a very modest woman. She doesn't like us to talk about her. But I would put her into the youth category. And it is indeed inspiring for me as the leader of the party to be part of a team, part of a group that is going to define the change that this country needs at this critical juncture of its history. And I think the National Federation Party, with its new approach, and I call it a new NFP, with new leadership, we can be the change, we can be the future, and we can be the success in the future for this country. You know, when I was a young second-year student at the University of the South Pacific back in the 80s, I became secretary of the Student Association there. Then I was the president, secretary and the president. And I remember campaigning in the 1982 election, campaigning in the 1987 general election, we saw the charismatic like Dr. Ravandra becoming the Prime Minister of the country, being removed a month after in a military coup. I also remember inviting politicians like the late Irene Jane Ryan to the university, the late Ratu Devi Kamni Balu, late Vijay Parmanandam, and many others. Because as a student, we believed in participating in politics. And we did make a difference to what was going on in the country. I made reference to Dr. Ravandra, the NFP Labour coalition government. So NFP was the leading party in that government in 1987. Now I always talk about what has happened since then and what has happened in this country because of military coup. And my favorite comparison of Fiji with another country is Mauritius. You know, in 1986, Fiji was better than Mauritius on almost every indicator. Whether it was the level of poverty, the level of employment, the cost of living, the amount of sugar that we produce, the quality of life generally, the number of people living in the squatter settlement, we were way ahead than Mauritius. We were ahead of Mauritius in per capita GDP. Since 1987, Mauritius grew at a rate of more than 5% for 28 years. And today, we slipped in the 27 years, and today Mauritius GDP per capita is 3 to 4 times that of Fiji. Every kid from preschool right up to the university gets free education. It's not about loans or scholarships. It's free education from preschool to tertiary level. Free medical to every citizen, including heart surgery. Mauritius, smaller than Fiji level, produces more sugar than Fiji. And the level of investment, the level of economic growth, the number of tourists have all surpassed what we get in Fiji. So what I want to say to you, young men and women today, is what some people are talking about today in 2014 budget, we should have had that in 1987. And that government, NFP Labour-led coalition government by Dr. Ravandra, had already talked about, already instituted free education, free medical services in 1987. So, many of you today see what has happened, and election is about looking at a little bit in your rear vision mirror, looking at what's happening at the moment, but more importantly, thinking about what the future is going to hold. And so, this election, in my view, must not be seen in the context of what you have got as a result of the 2014 budget, not as a result of some improved services in the last 1 year, not in terms of the propaganda that might be coming out of the 2014 budget, as some in government would like to believe, that that is what is the future of this country. It is not. I think the future is much more complex, much more dynamic, and much more complicated in terms of understanding where we are going in the future. This election, and I sincerely believe that this election, and Indrani said it quite rightly, will be determined by the young, the educated, and indeed much of the urban voters. I think the time when young people felt that they could be unconcerned about politics, remain apolitical, carry on with their own interest and strategies about what is good for them. That's important. You need to do that. But the time has come for young people in this country to become very, very political. And I want to say this today. And I know that there is fear that has gripped this nation. Extreme fear in some cases. People in the civil service, taxi drivers, businessmen, farmers, market vendors, anyone that you can think of is afraid of what they might say, who might hear it, and how they might be victimized. Young men and women, let not fear drive you. Let not one intimidation of a young, bright tertiary institution student deter you from participating in political activities. That scholarship, that support you have is because of your merit. You deserve that. And let me give you an example. In 1984, then Minister for Education, the late Dr. Ahmad Ali, introduced volunteer scheme. The teachers would go and teach as a volunteer scheme. And I was the president of the Indian Student Association, and my friend Aminyasi Kato, who was the magistrate later on, was the president of the Fijian Student Association. We went to see this Minister for Education with a delegation. And you know what he said to me? He said, you were too green to mount a political protest against government. And he said, you are on a scholarship, you must concentrate on your studies. So I turned around to him and I said, Honorable Minister, with due respect to you, I was given a scholarship on merit. I am there on merit, and you have no right to question my scholarship. And that was the end of the matter. I know that fear amongst many of our youth who would have been here. In fact, this is a huge number. Huge number. I was expecting 20, 30 people. The fact that so many of you have stand up shows that you don't fear, that you want to participate in politics. And that is good. This is a great message, great signal to those who want to pretend that they have created a free and fair environment. It is not. And it is the responsibility of the young people in this country to lead the way. Before I say a little bit more about what I expect from you and what you might be planning as part of your activities today and for the major youth conference. Let me just talk about where we are in terms of some of the key issues. Cost of living in this country has never been that high in the history of this country. Food prices in the last 6 or 7 years has gone up by 60%. I was in Lambasa last whole week, and one of our candidates went and got the special from the 2006 visitors and compared it with the specials that week in Lambasa. And he just gave few examples. Price of 500 gram butter from $2 something to $9 something. Price of lamb chops from $6 something to $17, $18 a kilo. Price of tin fish. Price of number 12 chicken, I think. $6 to something like $15 or $16. And he gave many examples. What I really want you to do, young men and women, is to go and do some research. Do some research. Look at the price rise. Look at the rise in the price of electricity bill, the price of gas, transport, and look at the gap between rich and poor. Under this government, the gap between rich and poor has just risen and risen. And I'll give you some very good examples. When this government came in, they promised that they will reduce the VAT from 12.5 to 10%. Instead, they increased it to 15%. Then, you look at the duties on food items. There is no duty on perfume. I know a lot of you use perfume. Very important item. But then when you compare that with the duty on tea, on other essential food items, and the most recent one in the 2014 budget is the duty on milk. Duty on milk, cream increased from 15% to 32%. And a company which has been given a permit or a permission or a monopoly to import cream, milk, convert it into milk products, and sell it at a price which will be somewhere equivalent to a duty that would attract at a rate of 32%. Many mothers cannot afford to put milk on their kids' breakfast menu in the morning. Then you look at the level of wages. Okay, some people got a rise after 6 years because it's an election year. Civil service, teachers. But look at what has happened over the last 6 or 7 years. Some of you are economic students. Go and do some research. Look at the Bureau of Statistics. Don't look at my data. Don't believe me. Look at the statistics from the National Employment Center, where people are going and registering to seek employment. Look at how many of them are graduates. And it pains me when parents told me in Lambasa that their son or daughter graduated from USP, from FNU and from other tertiary institutes and are working for $100 a week. Some of them are still looking for a job. It really pains to hear that. And the reason why this is all evident, this is all out there, is because we've had an average growth rate of nearly just over 1% in the last 7 years. If an economy on average, I'm talking about average, okay, they're saying the economy grew better in the last 3 years, I agree. And much of it is consumption driven, tax reduction, there's a lot of liquidity in the banking sector, middle class, workers, reduction in tax, a lot of them are buying cars, loans are available at no deposit. So there is a sense of consumption activity, but this is not going to be sustainable in the future. NFP in government will have a number of key focus areas. Of course, we will have short-term, medium-term, long-term strategies in our manifesto. And I urge all of you today, when you look at your issues, to look at some short-term, medium-term, long-term things that we can address when we are in government. For NFP, the short-term strategy would be to provide relief immediately to a rising number of poor in this country. And one of the first things we will do, and we have already announced this, is to reduce the value-added tax from 15 to 10%. And we can do that. We can do that. There is no doubt that we will be able to do that if we get into government. The second thing we will do immediately is to look at some of the duties on key food items. The second focus of the NFP in government will be to look at the real sectors of the economy, institute reforms, look at policies that can generate more jobs. And we are confident that if we are in government through a free and fair election, and the results of that election is a clear reflection of what the people in this country want, we would be able to grow the economy at more than 5 or 6%. That would be our ambition within 2 years of being in government, and we will be looking at a situation within those 2 years where we can reduce the level of unemployment in a significant way. There are many other policy areas that we have looked at, and I would encourage you to think about that. We still have time. We've got a draft manifesto in which we can include some of your suggestions and policy areas for the youth. I also wanted to say in conclusion that the NFP is going to provide a transparent, open, honest, and leadership with integrity when we get into government. We will not be telling people what is good for them. We will be reflecting the views, the issues, and what we've heard from our campaign and what we have reflected in our manifesto. So it will be a government that will be based on addressing the needs, the aspirations of our people generally. We are confident that we will be in government. We are confident of winning a large number of seats, and our support on the ground, we were in Banwalevu with Madam President, is growing at a much faster rate than what I thought it was. And I think we are on a trajectory where we will be a very, very significant party in this election, and we are confident that we will be in government to deliver some of the policies that we have already espoused as part of our policy agenda. Just on education, I've already announced that we will have an education commission with a very clear terms of reference, which will include tertiary education, which will include secondary and primary education, which will have a very clear terms of reference on which the Commission is going to produce its recommendation. We will do that within a year. The Commission will work for a year, and once we have the recommendations of the Commission, we would be implementing those recommendations within a period of 6 months, or at least we would have started implementing the recommendations in the first 6 months. On the tertiary scholarships, I've said this before, we welcome government's topper scheme, but we have suggested improvement in the overall scheme, because what is happening now is anybody who's got less than 300 marks is not eligible for scholarship. They're forced to, poor parents, poor kids are forced to take loans. What we will do is introduce a means-tested scholarship for anyone who has got marks between 250 and 300 who does not qualify for the top of the scheme. And in that way, I think we can include poor students. There have been concerns about a small number of our ETOK students within the 300 and above category. What we are suggesting is going to address the concerns of many of them, and many of them would be eligible for scholarship, under the scheme that we would post. And when we get into government, those who've been forced to take loans this year, we will convert them into scholarship based on the means test and those who meet the criteria. Okay, so if you are a very poor student and you've been forced to take loan, we will apply that means test, and if you fall into that category, we will convert that loan into scholarship, because that's very important. The poor parents have already been burdened. They have got you to a point where you scored that mark, and you don't want to be burdened further with the loan. So that's, and there are many other issues within the education policy that we will be looking at. We, as a party, condemn the taking away of the scholarship of one of your colleagues at the University of the South Pacific. Some of you are here from USP. And we condemn that. And we have called the government to reinstate the scholarship for that particular student. And we call upon the government to stop the intimidation, the harassment of people who want to participate, especially young people who want to participate in politics. And they should be free to choose any political party. I'm very pleased that all of you are here, and I'm so excited that the youth in this country, and this is the feeling I'm getting, I can see the exuberance in the young people. They want a change. They want new leadership. They want new ideas. They're not going to be fooled by the last 1 or 2 years propaganda. And that gives me a lot of confidence. And it gives Madam President a lot of confidence. And it gives us, the whole team, that confidence that NFP will be the party that will change the future of this country. It will be the party that will change the future of this country. So what I want to do today is to urge you, because you young minds are very influential. You have your own ways of convincing your parents, your neighbors, and I got the impression in Bangalore that, the old people, the farmers, the parents out there actually listen to their kids. I mean, during my time, my father didn't listen to me. Once I tried to explain to him about, he said, you can concentrate on your degree studies, don't tell me, how to run my affairs here. But I think young people these days are very influenced. You guys can be the change. You guys can influence the result of the election in favor of NSP. And I want to urge you to have a very open discussion today. That's very important. You can agree, disagree, you can argue. And in this party, we will provide that forum. We will provide that space. We will kill any kind of dictatorship in this party. It was never there, and it never will be. And we want to remove this idea that only some people know what is good for this country. Everyone has the wisdom, the capacity to contribute, and more so the young people. So, once again, Tia, Ravi, Indrani, and Naya, and all the other executive members, thank you very much for Ronald organizing this mini youth conference. And I urge you to organize the biggest youth conference ever for a political party in this country in July. And I am confident that the way you guys are going, you've got the go. I can see the Facebook, I can see the emails, I can see the exuberance. It's all there. You've got it. You've got it. Use that to have the best conference in July. And that conference itself is going to change the face of politics in this country. So thank you once again. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, thank you, Professor Prasad. Thank you so much for boosting our